Oh, focus. Hello. Oh, this is going to go well if you're already interested, my dude. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So, it is the last day in January, and I'm going to talk to you about the books that I read and enjoyed, or did not enjoy in January. If you eat this notebook, I will be annoyed. Me sitting here and just talking to you didn't sound like a super interesting video to film, I won't lie. So, I'm going to feed my rabbit some treats while I'm at it. Oh no. Oh no. What is that? You definitely can't have this, my dude. What is this? Want some apple? Yes. So the first book I read this month was Men at Arms, which is a Pratchett book. I read Guards last year and really enjoyed it. Goodness me. You're going to eat all of this before Buddy even gets here, aren't you? Aren't you? Buddy! You can tell which one's the greedy one. Yes, hello. I can't really remember the plot of Men at Arms at the moment. Terry Pratchett is one of those authors where I enjoy every second of the book that I read by him. He is so funny, I have laugh out loud moments. The names are bonkers and I love them. But the plot is never as important as like the humour or the comedy until right at the very end. Come over here. Come over here. Over here. Look, it's flapping. Yes, good girl. When right at the very end and he wraps it all up and you go, oh my god, that was so clever. I'm one of those people where I don't usually see the twists coming because I don't look for them. That kind of ruins the enjoyment of a book for me if I'm going, oh, why do they do this? And what if they do that? It's on the floor. It's on the floor. Up. No, that's just apple juice, my dude. That's just apple juice. Would you like some more here? So you can always rely on him to... I've completely forgotten what point I was making. What's over here, bud? Because she's going to eat all your food, man. Another thing I really enjoy about Pratchett is how he has so many characters and so many NPCs. And yet I remember every single one of them because the names are so unique and he manages to make every single character so memorable. Each of them has like one thing where it's like, ah, it's that dude. It's the dude with the weird hat or the dude that talks weird. But yeah, I love that. Big fan. Next book I read was Ravenite by Alicia Rades, I think. Rades? I listened to this one on Scribd, so I'm quite new to Scribd. I'm quite new to audiobooks because normally I'm pretty fussy about how books are read. I only really like them in my own voice. But I just wanted to listen, I just wanted to read a trashy book and I didn't want to have to spend money on a real physical book. So I looked on Scribd because I already had a subscription. And just from the cover, it told me it had witches and vampires and werewolves. And I was like, I'm in. It's only like a 6-hour audiobook. Hi, bud. Do you want some apple? Don't run away. God, you're in such a mood today. I just wanted to read something really trashy. And trashy it gave me in the best sort of way. If you want a really trashy vampire werewolf book, this is the book for you. 100%. It is so good, so enjoyable, because it is so bad. You know the kind of book I mean? It doesn't do anything like actively wrong, but because it's such a short book, I think it's a novella, it's not a very long book, it squashes the plot right down, so it's just like bang 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 action scene. Yeah, there's a little bit of insta love, but like, I'm here for it. It wasn't awful. I really enjoyed it. I think I gave it 5 stars. Then I listened to another novella. It's like a really small anthology called The Witches of New Orleans. I couldn't find this one on Goodreads, so I'm wondering if it was like a self-pub and was only on Scribd or something. I couldn't find any evidence of it anywhere apart from Scribd. But it was essentially 5 short stories that followed 5 witches in New Orleans and all of their paths crossed. Really in the mood for like urban fantasy. And this gave me it. So it's modern day witches in New Orleans. I honestly can't really remember much about what happened, but I remember enjoying every story, which is unusual for me with anthologies. So like, if you've got Scribd, give it a go. It was really good. Oh, the next one I read was Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. So I don't think I've ever read this one. Treasure Planet is one of my favourite films. And I am, pretty sure I've seen like TV adaptations of the book and things like that. So I'm familiar with the story because, like, who isn't? It's Treasure Island. But I've never read the book, and I didn't realise it was set in Bristol, which is where I live. And I was like, hey, it would be really cool to read a book that is set in Bristol at least once while I live here. So I tried it, and oh my god, it's so boring. And I think that's mostly because A, I already knew the plot, and B, I don't get along with old-timey writing, let's say. I like straight up prose. I like very straightforward, easy to understand writing. I don't mind a bit of flowery shit here and there, but like, it's an old book and the writing reflected that, and there were some interesting racist moments in it because it's an old book. And I also struggled to get into it because there were two female characters. One was a mother and another one was a wife, and I don't think either of them ever had speaking roles. So it just wasn't my thing. I'm glad I read it. I didn't DNF it or anything, but it was a bit of a slog. Glad I read it. Wouldn't read it again. It's done. Oh, the next one was my favourite book of this month, actually. It was The Diviners by Liv Bray. I am late to this party, I know everyone loves this book. But shall I just shuffle back? Because then people can actually see you. There you go. Yeah, The Diviners by Liv Bray. So it's essentially a murder mystery, for those who don't know, set in the 20s, and there's like a super occulty vibe to it. Okay, so like various people have powers. It's told from multiple points of view, though it does tend to focus on the protagonist, whose name I have currently forgotten. And I fucking loved it. I was not expecting to love it that much. I think sometimes I forget how much I just want just a straight up murder mystery. The characters felt like real people. It felt like they were believable as real people. There was so much 20s slang in there, and I just like marvelled at the amount of like research that must have gone into this book. Or maybe some people just know this stuff, but like the vocabulary and the swearing and the like just the idioms and the phrases that were used, it was so immersive. It was a really long book, but it worked. It wasn't too long and wasn't too short for the plot. None of it really felt rushed. The pacing was really good. It didn't really fall into any of the tropes I don't like the sort of miscommunication and things like that. It was just really interesting, and I would absolutely recommend it. It was very much out of what I usually read, and I loved it. Next one was Out of Love by Hazel Hayes. So I used to watch Hazel's videos on YouTube, and when she announced that she was publishing a book last year, and I think she posted the first chapter on her YouTube channel, so her reading aloud the first chapter, and it sucked me in and I just wanted to know more. So basic synopsis, it's contemporary fiction, that's the phrase, isn't it? It's a romance, but it's told backwards, so you start with the breakup. You can't have that, that's fine. Yeah. So you start with the breakup, and then you go backwards in time. And it was... I rated it 4 stars. It wasn't super my thing, but it was really well written for what it was, and I think other people would enjoy it hugely if that's what they were into. It was very on the nose. I think Hazel did an incredible job of picking out aspects. That's my foot. The ball's there. Okay. Picking out like the little nitty gritty details of relationships and the good and the bad and the ugly and like all those. And yeah, I just think she did a really good job writing it. I didn't super enjoy it personally because it's not really what I like to read, but I would recommend it for people who are more into those sorts of books where it's like it's a dissection of a relationship rather than a proper romance, if you know what I mean. Hello. The other reason I wanted to read it is because she, in her videos announcing it, she explained sort of why she wrote it and how she came to do the writing, and I always find that sort of thing really, really interesting to read about, especially if I want to read the book. My next book was, it's Empire of Gold by somebody, Chakraborty. Essay? Can't remember. It's up there. I can't read it from here. So that's the third one in the City of Brass trilogy. I thought it was really good. I thought it wrapped up the series really well. It went on a bit. It dragged in the middle, but the last like 200 pages of it were really good. It is a deceptively long book, I will tell you that. Like, it's a brick. And I have the hardcover copy as well, which I wasn't happy about because I don't like hardcovers. Because they're really hard to read, but that's like a whole other rant. I can't really remember much of what happened in it. The plot didn't go the way that I thought it was going to go, but in a good way. And that's what I'll leave it at that, because, yeah. Then I read another Pratchett. I read Lords and Ladies, which is the third witchy Pratchett, with Granny Weatherwax and Nanny Ogg, and I bloody loved it because witches are my thing. Pratchett's really funny, and my battery's dying. Oh no! So yeah, can't remember what rating I gave it, but big thumbs up from me. And I will do the rest once I've charged my camera. The angle's changed a bit, but that's because I moved the camera, so shocker. Oh, the next one I read was really quick. I've written The King of Elfhame because I didn't have much room on this, but that's not the full title. What's the full title? How the King of Elfhame Learned to Hate Stories. So it was the anthology that Holly Black just released about Carden, and it was all short stories to do with him and how he'd grown up and stuff, but it is beautifully illustrated. I read it in one sitting. It is absolutely gorgeous. It's one of those books that you just want to frame. It answered all the questions I didn't realise I had about the original series, which is really good. I've got parsley here, I don't know if they want it. You want some parsley, buddy? Oop. I sprinkle it liberally over the floor. Yeah, it's a really good book, gorgeously illustrated. If you like Holly Black's books and you've read the Cool Prince series, it's well worth reading. Next one I read was, Baptism of Fire. So that is, I'm going to say one of the Witcher books because I'm never really sure what order you're supposed to read them in. I think I'm reading them in the right order. I didn't love this one as much as I've loved some of the others. Just because, I think it's because it was really grim. You found it, well done. So obviously those sorts of stories, they're very, they don't shy away from the sort of the grimdark side of things. I wouldn't call them grimdark, but they are very like blood and shit and gore, you know what I mean? And it was a necessary part of the story, and I liked what we learned about the characters, and I appreciated how the story was told. I'm not gonna lie, I still get very confused about the political side of things, because like I recognise all of the names of like the countries and places and towns and stuff, and like, oh yes, the Battle of Sodden. I vaguely remember what that was, but I don't really understand. Very, very glad I played the game Witcher 3 before I started reading the books, because I played the game, then I started reading the books, then I watched the series. Just gonna remove that. Covering my notebook in food probably wasn't my greatest idea, was it? Crown? You want a parsley crown? Parsley crown. Parsley crown. Parsley crown. Oh no. Yeah, Baptism of Fire was good. I'm going to carry on reading the series because I want to read it all. Maybe not my favourite book in the series, but it still was very good writing, and there were some laugh out loud moments, and I bloody love Dandelion. He is my favourite. Next one was, I read Bone Crier's Moon. So, I listened to the audiobook of Bone Crier's Moon. Now this is, I didn't realise this before I read it, but brief premise is that there's bone criers can take the graces of animals that they've killed, and it helps them ferry the dead on certain nights, which is a cool premise, loved it. It's set in sort of pseudo France, and all the names are like French inspired or just French and things like that, which I really enjoy. So I grew up in Belgium, so French is my second language, I'm fluent in it. And I get very excited when there's any French in books because it's quite nostalgic for me because I don't really speak French very much at the moment. So I really enjoyed it for that, except I feel like I would have enjoyed it a lot more had either I had just read the physical book instead of the audiobook, or they had got people on the audiobook who actually spoke French. And there was one phrase of actual French in the whole book, but the accent with which they pronounced the French words that were littered through the book was just kind of painful to hear. And yeah, I might be being a bit snobby about it, but I don't care, it made me cringe every time. There was also one part where, this might be a bit spoilery, so, is it a bit spoilery? I don't know. There is one phrase, I will put a spoiler warning at the bottom. There was one phrase that, God, I can't remember their names anymore. The bloke, the love interest, hello, Parsley Crown? Parsley Crown. The love interest said that he would say to his family because that was his way of saying, I love you. I'm holding this bit of parsley, you greedy bitch. Parsley Crown. Ooh. Yes. Basically, I got really confused by the translation because, as far as I was aware, the translation was wrong. And this was like a key part of the story, and I couldn't believe that they would... Oh, right, okay, so, yeah, the phrase in the book was tu ne me manques pas. So, tu ne me manques pas. The way I would translate it is you do not miss me. Okay? The way they translate it was you'll never be missing from me. Now, I'm not a native French speaker, so like maybe there is some, like, I don't know, maybe this is a thing and I'm not aware of it. But as far as I was aware, that was wrong because the verb manquer is reflexive. So, tu ne manques pas literally would mean you'll never be missing from me, I think. But that's just not how it's... I'm really ballsing this up. Basically, I think they translated it wrong. I got really confused. And was on the phone to my best friend for like half an hour and we were frantically Googling stuff, and we even like got her grandpa involved who also speaks French and was like, this can't be right. I got really confused. I never really got an answer I was satisfied with. It's just going to be one of those little bugbears. If a native French speaker who has read The Bone Crier's Moon could tell me whether I'm full of shit or not, that would be great. It was a very good book though. Aside from that, I did really enjoy it, and I will be, I think I've pre-ordered the next one already. Then I read The Kiss of Deception by Mary E. Pearson. I've actually read The Kiss of Deception and the second one, Heart of Betrayal. I finished that one today. And I really like it. Like, I like it in a deceptive sort of way, because when I'm not reading it, I'm not really thinking about it at all. But when I am reading it, it's really, really hard to put down, and honestly, I could read a whole book in one sitting. The characters are really believable. It's a really, like, comfortable story just to read. Not that in the way that there's no conflict or anything like that. There is a good amount of conflict, and I like the themes that it explores. I think the characters are really well thought out. I think the intricacies of the plot are really well thought out. That may all change in book 3. I haven't read that yet. That'll be next month's read. But I just really enjoyed it. And like, the book could have been really tropey because it was a princess fleeing from an arranged marriage, pretending to be a barmaid, and the prince she was supposed to marry but had never met, and an assassin from somewhere track her down, and shenanigans ensue, and it was heavily implied, this is all in the blurb so it's not really a spoiler, and it's heavily implied that there's like some romance along the way, and I was like, you know what, that sounds like it could be a tropey ass book. And I don't think it was. Or if... No, it was a very enjoyable book. I really liked it. I would definitely recommend this series. And then the other book I read was Resilience, which is the second book in the Ravenite series, which was the trashy book I was talking about earlier. And that was same level of good, solid trash, but like slightly less. Because it suffered a little bit from like second book syndrome. But it was still really good. I listened to it on audiobook again. And one thing I have decided is that I really hate listening to someone narrate sex scenes. Like, I really hate it. I couldn't take myself seriously if that was my job, so I have huge respect for audiobook narrators that manage to get through the sex scenes, because it makes me cringe to no end. Doesn't it, Bun? Done it done! Yes. That was all the books that I read in January. And they were good. It was a surprisingly good haul of books, to be honest. I don't think I DNF'd any of them. No, I didn't DNF any of them. Like, there were some ones, but there was quite a few 5 stars in there. Yeah, there you go. That was another video. I don't fucking know how to end these things.